A foul on Curry, and Curry's going to get it with a technical. He throws his mouthpiece after fouling.
There are moments in sports when what you're watching doesn't feel like competition anymore. It doesn't feel like passion or talent or strategy. It feels like sabotage. And on April 23rd, in a playoff series drenched in tension and dripping, with controversy, the Golden State Warriors weren't just battling the Houston Rockets. They were facing something much bigger and far darker. They weren't in a fair fight. They were in a rigged war. The game that night delivered a scene so grotesque it defied every code of sportsmanship and competitive balance. Amen. Thompson didn't just foul Jimmy Butler. He undercut him mid-air. While Jimmy hung suspended in the air, Thompson used both hands to shove his legs from underneath him. The moment Jimmy hit the ground, you could feel the seismic gasp ripple across the arena. Everyone saw it. The fans, the players, the commentators, the cameras, everyone, except conveniently the officials. There was no flagrant, no technical, no review, just a whistle, a shrug, and play on. And it was at that precise moment the truth became unavoidable. This wasn't poor officiating. This was systemic. From that point on, every play became evidence. Jabari Smith steamrolling Steph Curry without even an ounce of caution. Dillon Brooks swiping at Curry's injured thumb, not the ball, the thumb, not once but twice. Fred VanVleet shoving Butler violently from behind with no intention of playing the ball. Each play less subtle than the last, each act more brazen, as if daring the officials to finally call something, anything, but nothing came. It wasn't basketball anymore. It was something else entirely. 5-on-5 had become 5-on-8, and the league, whether by design or willful ignorance, appeared complicit. Steph Curry's hand injury was common knowledge. You could see the way he flexed it, the way he gripped the ball. You could see him favor it during timeouts. And you better believe the Rockets saw it too, especially Dillon Brooks. Because instead of trying to contain Curry with skill, Brooks repeatedly swiped at the compromised hand, clearly targeting the injury. Not the shot, not the ball, the hand. Then came the plays that defied decency, Brooks throwing a leg lock on Steph like it was a UFC bout, then later shoving him near the neck during a transition moment. And just as predictably, the referees swallowed their whistles. If you thought that was the end of it, Game 7 was the crown jewel of injustice. Curry, playing 45 minutes, absorbed contact on nearly every possession. He drove. He got hacked. He curled off screens. He got grabbed. And somehow, after nearly 47 minutes of that, he had attempted exactly 0 free throws. 0. Not 2, not 5, none. All while the Rockets had already shot 21. That disparity wasn't just unusual. It was insulting, especially when Houston was openly trying to foul Steph. One play even featured a clear clothesline, ruled a common foul. But if you think this story ends in despair, you'd be wrong. Because somehow, against the bruises and the bias, against the silent whistles and the not-so-silent hits, the Warriors won. And it wasn't because of Steph. It was because of Buddy Hield. In a twist no one saw coming. The man who scored 0 points in Game 6 and just 4 in Game 5 exploded for 33 points in the most important game of the season. He didn't just catch fire, he became it. 11 three-point attempts, 9 makes, an impossible 82% from beyond the arc. When it mattered most, it wasn't the superstar who lit the path, it was the afterthought. Game 7 Buddy wasn't just a footnote, he was the hero. And his performance, as unexpected as it was unforgettable, became the difference between elimination and survival. Even Jimmy Butler, fresh off a near career-threatening fall, had no snark or sarcasm to throw in the post-game presser. Just silence. Respect. Because when someone plays that well, that fearlessly, there's nothing left to say. Buddy, the same guy on the verge of being scapegoated by frustrated fans, had just written his name into playoff folklore. But of course, greatness isn't built in one night. It's forged over time, through pain, through purpose. And in Golden State, greatness still lives, in the heart of a 37-year-old point guard with a mangled hand and an immortal motor. Curry had every reason to take it easy in Game 3 when Butler was ruled out. No one would have blamed him for pacing himself. But Steph isn't wired that way. Instead, he dropped 36 points, his best game of the series. Not because he had to, because that's what leaders do. And when Butler returned in Game 4, barely, able to move after being undercut, he didn't retreat. He didn't hang his head or ask for sympathy. He came back like a war-hardened general and dropped 27, attacking relentlessly, earning trip after trip to the free throw line. He refused to be average. He refused to be a victim. His body may have been compromised, but his will was ironclad. This is what separates good teams from great ones. The leaders, the ones who bleed for the mission. When Steph plays through agony, when Jimmy sacrifices his body for one more bucket, the rest of the team doesn't get to coast. They rise. They match the standard. Because that's what real leadership looks like. It's not about the stats. It's about the standard. And maybe that's the lesson that extends beyond basketball. Because what the Warriors taught us wasn't just how to win on a scoreboard. It was how to win in life. Not by whining, not by cutting corners or playing dirty, but by showing up, locking in, doing the work with discipline, with precision, and with integrity. In a world obsessed with shortcuts, there's something sacred about those who still chase excellence. What Golden State endured was unacceptable. The targeting, the missed calls, the blatant bias, it was a disgrace to the game. But what they did in response, that was legendary. They didn't cry foul, they didn't quit. They got up, they got better, they fought back, and they won. That is what greatness is. Not perfection, not privilege, but perseverance. And maybe that's something we all need to remember. Because in whatever craft you're pursuing, business, art, athletics, or life itself, you'll have moments when the deck is stacked, when the rules feel rigged, when the blows keep coming and no one's blowing the whistle for you. You'll feel alone, overmatched, undervalued. But if you can keep going anyway, if you can dig in, lock in, rise up, and deliver when it matters most, then you've already won. Trophies and accolades, they're nice, but greatness is about what you give, not what you get. So play to win, not just to be seen, not just to survive, but to overcome. That's what the Warriors did. The league may have tried to cheat them. The Rockets may have tried to break them. The refs may have tried to bury them, but they fought anyway. And they won. So now ask yourself, when everything's against you, will you fold or will you fight? Because if you play like the Warriors did, with heart, with grit, with purpose, then no matter what the scoreboard says, you've already made history. And that's something no referee, no opponent can ever take away. If you're fired up by this breakdown and you believe effort should always triumph over bias, hit that like button, drop a comment about your favorite moment from the series, and subscribe for more no-fluff takes like this. See you in the next one.